All right, Free Radicals, welcome back. It is I, Dave, the Radical Independent. Thanks for watching. Please try to stay subscribed to the channel if you can. Just do it as a favor to me. I understand what's going on out there, but I never went on here and said I'm a progressive. All right, that wasn't my MO. I'm an independent with some progressive tendencies and actually a few conservative tendencies as well. I don't believe in tribal politics. I don't believe in violence, things like that. I truly believe in peace. And I hope that you would advocate for peace as well. Doesn't seem like anybody's all that interested in peace because, Tulsi Gabbard got 3.3% of the vote in New Hampshire. So I guess people don't care about peace. They would rather have war because war definitely lines the pockets of people who create jobs, because that's how we've decided to rig our economy, where you have to have war in order to have good jobs, apparently. You'll never fix climate change if you vote for a guy like Mike Bloomberg, who says he's shutting down coal plants. Doesn't matter. If you're not shutting down the military-industrial plant, you're going to have more war. And you're going to have more climate change. Anyway, so Tulsi's up in Maine. Why am I still covering Tulsi Gabbard? Well, yesterday I had a conference with myself because I'm a little schizophrenic, and I decided that I would continue to cover Tulsi because, number one, no one else is. And I feel like I owe coverage to this because, again, this is the greatest presidential candidate of my lifetime. And I'm going to continue to support her. Yes, I've said my piece. I wish the campaign had reached out and so forth. And some of the folks that Tulsi reached out to represent her or to, I guess, introduce her at events and so forth, it's a little bit on the head-scratching side, but I understand. You got to go with people with large platforms who basically talk about really the same crap every day. They just, documenting the horse race. Joe Biden says something stupid. We're going to do a video about how stupid Joe Biden is. Meanwhile, you got a candidate up in Maine like Lisa Savage, who's running for Senate in the Green Party, who would be a game changer candidate because you'd have a voice and it would start maybe a little avalanche. People would say, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. Somebody like that should be given a forum, and somebody like that should be talked about on these, neo-progressive shows. But again, look, I'm not a straight-up progressive, so it's hard for me when I critique progressives. I'm doing it kind of from a weird place. I'm kind of watching what they're covering, and I'm scratching my head because, yeah, you can Google search and come up with something to cover. Now, nobody apparently wants to Google search the fact that Tulsi is still campaigning up in the state of Maine. That's important. She is trying to accumulate a few delegates. It won't be shocking to me, by the way, if Tulsi Gabbard, if she does get delegates, it won't be shocking if she gives those delegates to Bernie Sanders. Some people are saying Tulsi Gabbard has an ulterior motive. Maybe she wants a job in Bernie's administration if he gets there. Folks, I don't think he's getting there. I know that's a crazy prediction. The conventional wisdom among progressives right now is Bernie's on his way to the nomination. And yesterday I spoke to somebody who's very on the inside of politics. They really know their stuff. And he says the math is going to get real tricky after Super Tuesday. And not only that, then you've got a brokered convention, and then you've got superdelegates on the second ballot. Bernie doesn't make it on the first ballot. Look, Michael Bloomberg is the guy to beat right now. I know everybody's talking about Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete will throw all his delegates over to Mike Bloomberg. Yep, that's a prediction. Or vice versa, if somehow Mayor Pete continues, he's able to continue to steal delegates and win states, even though he didn't win the popular vote. He can continue to say, hey, I got just as many delegates as Bernie did in New Hampshire. And he did, by the way. Tulsi Gabbard is still out there because I think she wants to get votes from people who wouldn't vote for anybody else, ever. She wants to show that there is a lane for a candidate who comes from a completely different perspective, who also wants to unite the country. By the way, nobody on the neoliberal side of the equation wants to, and nobody, by the way, on the neoconservative side of the country wants to unite. They want the tribal warfare. They want to wake up every day feeling angry at someone, whether it's Trump, whether it's Democrats in general. Hey, I don't like Democrats. I don't like Republicans. I can't function until these people are eradicated. Good luck with that, because the polarization is something that apparently sells a lot of television, and it sells a lot of airtime for drug companies and others who profit on the backs of the tribal war. This is what people don't realize. The entire economy is basically centered around the military-industrial complex and the fact that we're always fighting. So Tulsi is a huge threat because she comes along and says, I would like peace. I would like peace when it comes to the military stuff, and I would like peace between you and I as human beings. I would like peace. Like a Gandhi comes along, a Jesus comes along, and I'm not equating her to either one. I'm just using a metaphor here. A Jesus comes along and says, I'm the Prince of Peace. And people go, no, stone him, kill him. There you go. There you go. It's the oldest thing in the book. You don't have to be religious to get it. You can be an atheist and still get that. Anyway, so Tulsi is in Maine. She's got like 150 people showing up. And that's not bad considering that everybody has written her off. People in Maine are very independent-minded. They're going to make up their minds for themselves. And Tulsi could do some damage up in Maine because she's the only one up there running around. Everybody else is getting ready for South Carolina. And I'm thinking Tulsi probably did the right thing going up to Maine. Again, trying to accumulate delegates. Again, playing the Ron Paul strategy. Ron Paul did New Hampshire and Maine. Ron Paul did really well in a lot of different places. Of course, at that time, the Republican Party was foisting Mitt Romney upon the world. And, you know, Mitt is basically Mike Bloomberg without quite as much money. But a guy like Mitt fits very nicely next to a guy like Bloomberg or, you know, pick a Mayor Pete. I said Mayor Pete is kind of like the Mitt Romney of the Democrats. And apparently there are a group of people out there that want that. I can't imagine why, because their lives are going to, if your life kind of sucks, it's going to stay the same. It's going to stay the same. You know, if you're rich, yeah, you're going to probably maintain your wealth and maybe even get a little richer. And we've been seeing this now for decades. So, the power in our country lies with the voters, she said. People who want to see us as a nation heal our divided people. People want a leader who can do that. Tulsi, I love you. This is a critique here. People want a leader who can do that. I don't think they do. I don't think, honestly, they do. And that's the whole problem with Tulsi Gabbard and her campaign, is that she's giving too much credit. She's putting too much faith in humanity right now, and people will do stupid things. Mike Bloomberg is hiring people to be influencers all over social media because he has to literally manufacture consent. Tulsi Gabbard thinks that we can see through this or past it. And I say with technology and pretty much the media walking in lockstep with the Mike Bloomberg philosophy, there's almost no way for this to come to pass. I mean, yes, there are people like me who would love to see our nation healed. By the way, Green Party, and I'm just saying this for advice, you should get out there and talk about healing the divide in the country. Pro-peace candidates and pro-peace political parties should be talking about peace between individuals. And I think, as John Lennon said, I don't think it's too late for peace. I think peace is always an option. And I know that may not sound, very rugged and very individualistic, and we're so used to imperialism and so forth. But honestly, if we want to heal the divide in this country, we have to start first with ourselves and our neighbors. But then you have to dismantle these systems, the media, the way it operates, where it's set up as a for-profit division entity. As long as we can keep dividing, we'll keep making money, because people will keep. It's like having Jerry Springer become part of the mainstream press and advising them and saying, hey, this is how you generate ratings. You keep them angry. So Tulsi, I love you, but your message apparently is falling on deaf ears. But I'm glad she's still out there, because it's almost like, like when she wore white at the debates. And I'm not a cultic person. As you know, I've been critical of Tulsi. But when she wore that white outfit, it was like she was the angelic figure on the stage. When Nancy Pelosi wears white, it doesn't, for some reason, do the same thing for her. But it works for Tulsi because I know what Tulsi's heart is all about. Tulsi believes in humanity, and she believes our better angels will begin to take over and wrestle the negativity and the fighting and the tribalism away from literally everything. Politics are everywhere. Politics, even when you want to escape, and I do it with music, and other people do it with whatever, you'll find politics lurking somewhere. And it's ugly, and it tarnishes everything. So, again, I'm covering Tulsi. Everybody else is going to talk about how Bloomberg is doing all these horrible things and is rigging this for himself and so forth, and how the media is going to be complicit in that. And by the way, that's the whole story. There's nothing else to really talk about. I just gave it to you. Bloomberg, media, complicit, working in unison. Bloomberg funneling billions of dollars into the media, and they're basically being purchased, bought off, and they'll do his bidding. Again, you'll do anything for money. That much money coming in. Gee, Michael Bloomberg, he seems like a decent guy. He apologized for stop and frisk. He's fine. He's better than Joe Biden. He can, at least speak in complete sentences. And he ran New York, and he did such a great job in New York, blah, blah, blah. New York City, that is. And Chappaqua. Don't forget about Lady Chappaqua, Hillary Clinton. She's out there lurking, and there are a crazy group of people out there that will see Bloomberg and Clinton, and that will just throw them over the edge. They'll be like, and on both sides of this, by the way, the people who were angry about Bloomberg will absolutely lose it, and the people who were saying, Bloomberg's not so bad. He's at, 19% now nationally? But if Hillary joins the ticket, wow, then, we've got to avenge Trump. This is the best way to do it. Meanwhile, nothing of substance gets changed. Meanwhile, the warmongering ramps up. I have a feeling that John Bolton will have a job again. Yeah, isn't that scary? And nobody cares. Nobody cares. They care about ratings and tribalism. And this wonderful woman who's been campaigning, who's been smeared over and over again, this wonderful woman who's running for president up in Maine, trying to scrounge a few delegates out of Maine, she's completely ignored, and she'd be the one to heal the divide. It's really tragic. Be careful what you consume. I'm going to leave now, but be careful what you consume when it comes to progressive media. And I say this because documenting the horse race and worrying about what Joe Biden had for lunch or whatever, it's not productive. Okay? You can watch a sitcom, you can watch a documentary, you can put on RT America, watch the news with Rick Sanchez and get real information about the world and what's happening, or you can consume crap over and over again, because yes, there is tribalism within this progressive movement, just like there's tribalism within a conservative movement, or what other thing that gets labeled and you think you're one of those people, so you've got to just consume it. I don't care what Ben Shapiro is saying. Do you really care about what Ben Shapiro is saying? Does somebody have to go on YouTube to refute and rebuff Ben Shapiro? You can watch it and form your own opinion. Lisa Savage from Maine, she needs some airtime. The Green Party of the USA needs some airtime, because therefore all of these progressive issues lock step with all of the things that have come over from their own platform. They're for these things and they mean it. Okay, that's the difference between the Greens and the Dems. The progressive DSA folks, those people, they're for a lot of this stuff on paper, but to be honest with you, there's no way they're completely for it the way people in the Green Party are. Does the Green Party have a chance to do anything right now? Don't know. Depends what happens with this election, actually. So that's my video. I'm rambling again like I typically do. But the country doesn't want unity. The country wanted unity. Tulsi Gabbard would be president, and she'd be leading in all the polls in every state, because she's a stateswoman. She's articulate. She's affable. She's approachable. She's unique. She's a woman of color. Get a little intersectionality going here, which I don't think is something I would vote for somebody because of. But those things, you would think this would be, wow, the dream candidate. And the dream candidate got 3.3% of the vote in New Hampshire. It's just a complete tragedy. But anyway, we soldier on. We keep moving forward. I will continue to cover Tulsi, and I hope she can scoop some delegates out of Maine. That will be a headline story, although nobody will print it, but I will talk about it when it happens. If it happens, let's hope it does. All right, people, I'm done. Again, David J. Spurrier at gmx.com for one-time PayPal donations. Also, check me out on Rockfin. You can subscribe to that entire platform for $10 a month, and you get all kinds of content that you won't get anywhere else, and no censorship, and no YouTube, and it's the next thing. We all got to be ready for the next thing, because the censorship's only going to get worse, and people with contrary views are going to be labeled as, hate mongers or something. They'll figure it out. All right, I am done. Aloha. See you soon.